Remember MySpace, the neon-soaked, cluttered digital playground where you could endlessly tinker with your profile, carefully arrange your top 8, and choose that perfect angsty song to autoplay for anyone who dared to visit. For many, it was the first real taste of online social interaction, a foundational block of internet culture. But what if I told you that beneath the surface of glittering cursors and custom HTML, something far stranger, perhaps even sinister, was unfolding? What if the digital ghost of MySpace still holds secrets that its founders, and perhaps even the internet itself, desperately want us to forget? To truly grasp the bizarre trajectory of MySpace, we need to rewind to the early 2000s, a Wild West era of the internet where social media, as we know it, was still finding its footing. Friendster had just emerged, offering a rudimentary platform for connecting, but it was clunky, often slow, and certainly not built for the burgeoning creativity of the online masses. Enter MySpace in 2003, founded by Chris DeWolf and Tom Anderson. Initially, it wasn't some visionary project. It was reportedly a response to Friendster's technical issues, a desperate workaround to keep a growing community connected. But almost immediately, it tapped into something profound. It was customizable, it was immediate, it was personal. You could express yourself, make new friends, discover bands, and even start your own digital identity from scratch. This wasn't just a website, it was a canvas. Teenagers, artists, musicians, and anyone looking for a digital home flocked to it in unprecedented numbers. By 2005, MySpace was a behemoth, acquiring more traffic than Google, dominating the online landscape. It was the undeniable king, a digital empire built on custom layouts and the omnipresent smiling face of Tom. It felt invincible. So, what happened? How did this seemingly unshakable titan vanish almost overnight, leaving behind only echoes of auto-playing Linkin Park songs and awkward selfies? The answer isn't as simple as Facebook came along. The cracks, the strange occurrences, and the darker undertones were present long before Mark Zuckerberg entered the scene. From its very inception, MySpace was a paradox of digital freedom and chaotic design. The freedom to customize your profile, while revolutionary, also led to a wild west of garish colors, flashing GIFs, and often profiles that would crash lesser computers. This level of user-generated content, an early form of the creator economy, harbored unsettling side effects. There were the ubiquitous lost child profiles, often featuring pixelated photos and desperate pleas, a harrowing early example of internet petitions that rarely led to a resolution. Then there were the strange glitches, small at first, but growing in frequency. Users reported phantom friend requests from dormant accounts, messages that vanished mid-conversation, and the eerie sensation of their profiles subtly changing without their input. Was it just server overload or something more? The site's massive scale meant moderation was an uphill battle, allowing for the proliferation of questionable content, from early forms of cyberbullying to outright predatory behavior. The MySpace suicide phenomenon, tragically real in some extreme cases, sparked a national conversation about the darker implications of unchecked online interaction. But even beyond the human element, there was the unsettling mystery of Tom. Tom Anderson, the default first friend for every single MySpace user. Always smiling, always present. He became a digital guardian, a benign overlord, or perhaps a constant reminder of the platform's initial grassroots origins. But his unwavering presence, even as he gradually stepped back from the operational side, felt almost programmatic. Was Tom just a symbol, or was he a placeholder, a constant, unchanging core in a constantly changing, increasingly unstable digital world? The theories ranged from a friendly, almost spiritual oversight to a digital Trojan horse, subtly collecting data from every single new user. As the site grew, so did the rumors of strange algorithms, hidden sections of the site, and the unsettling feeling that MySpace, for all its user-generated charm, was subtly manipulating its audience, herding them, channeling their attention in ways they didn't even realize. The platform, once a bastion of user expression, began to feel less like a home and more like a carefully constructed, albeit chaotic, experiment. But the true turning point, the moment the wheels began to come off, wasn't a glitch or a phantom friend. It was money. In 2005, News Corp, Rupert Murdoch's media empire, acquired MySpace for a staggering $580 million. On the surface, it seemed like a brilliant move, legitimizing the nascent social media space. Yet, this acquisition was the beginning of the end, a corporate takeover that would fundamentally alter the soul of MySpace. Murdoch saw MySpace not as a social experiment, but as a data goldmine, a direct channel to a coveted demographic. What followed was a series of decisions that alienated its core user base. Under News Corp, advertising became aggressive and intrusive, cluttering profiles that users had so carefully curated. The site became slower, more bug-ridden, and less responsive to its community's needs. Development stagnated, while the engineering teams grappled with a Frankenstein's monster of legacy code and hastily implemented new features. The focus shifted from user experience to monetization, treating its millions of users as commodities rather than community members. There were whispers of user data being packaged and sold, of privacy becoming a secondary concern. The vibrant, chaotic freedom that MySpace offered in its early days was systematically dismantled by corporate oversight and a thirst for profit. This wasn't a gradual decline, it was a deliberate erosion of what made MySpace special. While Facebook, with its cleaner interface and more structured approach, began to gain traction, MySpace was busy suffocating itself under layers of corporate mismanagement and a profound misunderstanding of its own success. The platform, once a symbol of digital liberation, became a cautionary tale of corporate greed. The ultimate irony, News Corp eventually sold MySpace in 2011 for a mere $35 million, a fraction of what they paid, essentially admitting their colossal failure. But the damage was done. Millions of profiles, billions of photos, and countless memories were either lost to the ether or absorbed into the corporate data machine, a digital shadow of what once was. MySpace's spectacular rise and even more spectacular fall serves as a chilling precedent for the digital age we inhabit today. It's a stark reminder that even the most dominant online platforms are fleeting, and that corporate interests can swiftly erode the very foundations that made them popular. The story of MySpace isn't just about a website that went out of fashion. It's about the commodification of human connection, the vulnerabilities inherent in centralized data, and the real cost of putting profit over people. We willingly poured our lives, our creativity, our rawest emotions into that clunky, glittering canvas. We trusted Tom, or at least the idea of him. And in the end, that trust was exploited, and our digital homes were dismantled. How much of that data truly vanished? How much of it still exists in some forgotten server farm owned by entities we know nothing about? The ghost of MySpace lingers, not just in our nostalgic memories, but in the unresolved questions about data ownership and the true price of online identity. Perhaps the greatest secret MySpace holds isn't a single shocking revelation, but the unsettling truth that every online space we inhabit is just as vulnerable, just as fleeting, and just as capable of being bought, sold, and forgotten. If you want to explore another digital enigma that perhaps never truly died, then the next video will delve into the strange, persisting echoes of Club Penguin.